So I'm making this a video explaining our homework here. Our homework for today is to do 1 through 17 odd. And I'm not going to explain 1, 3, or 5. Why? Because 1, 3, and 5 was explained on the previous video on our notes. We actually went through those. So if you want to see those explained, go to the previous video on our notes on this section. Let's take a look at number 7. I should always try to pull out a GCF first, but there's nothing to pull out. So then I move on to, it's either going to be factoring with grouping, this multi-step process, or this new alternative method, which is, I call a shortcut, right? It's totally up to you what you choose. Either way, step 1 and 2 are exactly the same. And if you didn't write it down, please write it down that step 2 is to make a list. Make a list. That will help you. Step 1 and 2 are exactly the same. So down here also, make a list. All right. So let's do step 1 and 2. Step 1 is to multiply A times C. What is A times C?
6A times 12.
6 times 12. What's 6 times 12?
70. No, I don't know.
72.
Yeah, that's close.
Now, step 2, I just wrote down, make a list for step 2. Let's make a list of the multiples of 72. So 1 times 72. 2 times what's half of 72? That's 36. 3 times something, give us 72. And of course, with the calculator, if you do 72 divided by 3, it'll give you the answer to that, 24.
18.
And then 4 times what?
4 times 18.
4 times 18. If you do 72 divided by 4, it'll give you this value, 18. And keep going. 5 doesn't work. 6, yeah, 6 times 12. We should know that. 7 doesn't work. 8. Might as well make that an 8. 8 times 9. And that's it. That's a long list. That's horrible. Took a while. Which pair of numbers combines together to give us 17?
8 and 9, but negative.
8 and 9, but we need them to be both negative. That's right. If I add 8 and 9 together, that'll give me positive 17. And we know that we want the b value to be a negative 17. So we have the right numbers. We just have the wrong signs. So I'm going to switch them to a negative 8 times a negative 9. This is the correct pair of numbers I want. Now, I either use the shortcut or factoring by grouping. I want to go with the shortcut because it's a little easier. The shortcut is to write your factored form answer format with your AX term. Your A, which is 6, and there is no X, it's an A this time. So what am I going to write right here? 6A and 6A. So let's first write down the 6A's. And then we take this pair of numbers from step 2, and we simply plug them in right here and here. So 6A minus 8 and 6A minus 9. And then you look at one binomial at a time and see what you could divide both of them by. So in other words, 6 and 8 could be both divided by what?
2.
By 2. So this is the weird part because you're not factoring out a 2. You're actually just in your head dividing them both by 2. So if you divide both by 2, what do you get? 3A minus 4. A divided by 2, 4 is A divided by 2 is 4. And the other one, you're going to divide by what? You can't divide by 2, but yeah, by 3. So what do I get? 2A minus 3. And we are done. That's your answer. Should we try another? The more you practice, the easier it gets. Number 9. Step 1, multiply A times C. You can't pull out anything, right? Like if this were a 12, I'd be able to pull out a 3 from all of them. That'd make it easier. But unfortunately, you can't pull out anything. So A times C is 10 times 6, which equals 60. That's our answer for step 1. Step 2, make a list. How could I get 60? 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, 6 times 10. Those are all the possible ways of getting 60, which combine together to give you a negative 9.
Negative 4 and 15. And negative 15.
Negative 4 and negative 15. If I combine, okay, well, let me ask you this. If I add 4 and 15, what do I get?
Oh, no.
I get 19, right?
My bad.
And this is not 19.
Yeah, negative 4 times 15 is negative 4 minus, or 15 minus
Minus -4.
Now, remember, we want our multiples to give us positive 60. So it's either they're both positive or they're both negative.
It's not factorable. Wait, isn't it 5 minus 12? Yeah.
It's not.
If I go 5 and 12, that'll give me 17. That's not 17.
It's not factorable.
So after a while of doing this and exhausting it, right, that's 61, that's 32, that's 23, that's 19, that's 17, that's 16. And there's no others to combine, so I'm going to say it's not factorable. Now, I'm not sure. Could somebody check the answers back there? I'm not sure if it's going to be not factorable, or they might write prime. Prime means that you can't factor it. So either one of these are correct. It depends on the textbook or the computer generator, test generator. Either one of those is correct. Not able to factor it or prime. Means the same thing. Should we try another? Sure, let's do number 11. Okay, that's a great one. Let's do number 11.
Yeah, let's do number 11. Wait, was it prime?
The other one was prime, yeah, which means not factorable. Whatever you want. Not factorable, prime, but you need to know that it means the same thing. Number 11, A times C, that's step 1. That's negative 100, that's right. Okay, step 2, let's make a ginormous list here. Negative 1 times 100. Now, I might as well start adding them in my head. If I add negative 1 and 100, do I get 21? No. Okay, so let me go to negative 2. Negative 2 times 50. If I combine that, that gives me 48. Negative 3 times, that doesn't work. Negative 4 times 25. If I add that, does it give me 21? Yeah, okay, so I'm done. Don't make your list if you already found your pair of numbers, right? We could stop right here. I don't have to continue to negative 5 times 20 or anything else, right? That's it. And now we could use the shortcut method, or we could use factoring by grouping. Shortcut is plugging it into your answer format with your AX term. What is our AX term? 10 with an X, 10 with an X. I know that's kind of weird, but that's how this shortcut works. What do I do with the pair of numbers from step 2? I put them in, right? Take that negative 4, put it in right there. Take that 25, put it in right there. All I need to do now is my final fourth weird step of just magically dividing them, right? If possible. So the first binomial, what could I divide 10 and 4 by? By 2, and we're just going to magically divide them by 2. It's going to give us a 5x minus 2. And how about the second binomial? What could I magically divide these guys by? By a 5, and I'll get a 2x and a plus 5. And we're done. That's it. Easy peasy. Should we try 13? Let's write our steps. Step 1, multiply A times C. A is 12, C is negative 5. What do I get? Negative 60. Step 2, make a list. Negative 1 times 60. Negative 2 times 30. Negative 3 times 20. Negative 4 times 15. What else? Negative 5 times 12. Negative 6 times 10. That's a long list. Out of all those numbers, which combines together to give us the B value?
Negative 6 and 10.
Okay, negative 6 and 10. If I add that, what will it give me? It'll give me a positive 4. But I know I need a negative 4, so change the signs. So I'm going to rewrite it as a positive 6 times a negative 10. So this wasn't it. This is the correct pair of numbers that we want, changing the signs. So I want to continue going with the shortcut. The more I do the shortcut, the more I like it. 12y here, 12y there. Plug in those pair of numbers from step 2 into your answer format, a positive 6 and a negative 10. Final step is to magically magically divide both binomials by whatever possible. So the 12 and the 6, you could reduce by 6. You could divide by 6, right? So what do we get when we divide by 6? 2y plus 1. And how about over here? What could I magically divide the 12 and the 10 by? By 2. And what do I get when I divide 12 by 2? 6y. Divide 10 by 2? Minus 5. And that's it. We're done. This shortcut method, if you like long method, go for it. Because why? You need to know factoring by grouping. Factoring by grouping is great. And you definitely need it in Algebra 2. But you could use a shortcut, even though it doesn't make too much sense why we just magically divide them. And it's weird. But it works.
Where do you find these shortcuts at, honestly?
Other math teachers.
Do you just look it up on the internet? YouTube?
No, this one, this shortcut, Mr. Ortega next door showed them to me. 15, believe it or not, we already did this one on our notes, the opening notes video. We pulled out the GCF of 4 first, and then we continued. If you want to look at or see 15, watch the previous video with our notes. Let's jump to number 17, the last one that you guys are responsible for. What should I do here first? 3. What does that mean, 3? GCF. Okay, you want to pull out a 3. Okay. So if we pull out a 3, what's going to be left on the inside?
6H2.
Okay.
5H.
5H. 6.
I like where this is going.
Minus 6. All right. So we pull out that 3, and it makes the numbers a lot nicer if you look at it. So we're not going to look at the original anymore. We're going to just look at these the inside quadratic trinomial terms. So let's start with the steps. Step 1 is to multiply a times c. And here a is 6, c is negative 6. So I get negative 36. It's important that you get the right signs on here. Step 2 is to make a list. What times what is negative 36? Negative 1 times 36, negative 2 times 18, negative 3 times 12, negative 4 times 9, negative 5 doesn't work, negative 6 times 6. So which pair of numbers combines together to give us the middle value, which we know the middle value is 5, not 15. It's 5, right? We're working on the inside one. So which pair of numbers combines together to give us 5? Negative 4 and 9. So if I use this pair of numbers as my step 2 answer, now I could jump to my answer format. My answer format is not going to have an H and an H, but it's actually going to have a 6H and a 6H. I take my pair of numbers and put the minus 4 there and the plus 9 there. And then I reduce or divide both. We're going to divide both by whatever I can. So 6 and 4, we're going to divide both by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3 with an H. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then we're going to divide the 6 and the 9 both by 3 this time. And I will get a 2H and a plus 3. So this is my final factored form. And I need to bring down the 3. Thank you. I totally forgot about that. Take that 3, bring it down. Final answer is 3, parenthesis 3H minus 2, parenthesis 2H plus 3. If you don't bring down that 3, it's going to be wrong. So I technically got that one wrong. Thank you for reminding me.